Morning. Hey folks, coming to you this morning from as you can probably hear, very rainy day, which is kind of perfect actually for us here. So I'll wait till some folks start hopping on, and I'm really kind of glad for this rainy kind of day, because it kind of gives you, hey Angie, kind of gives me a moment to, gives me a reason to not be outside working, right? So I think we're going to have a lot of farmers on here maybe today if y'all are getting rain too. So I just want to welcome everybody to, this is Lisa Live. We're broadcasting on Facebook Live. And today, let me get my notes out here. We actually had a power outage about 20 minutes ago. And the minute the power flickers, right, you realize, holy cow, did I charge the phone? Did I charge the iPad? So let me just get my notes up here. That kind of sent me into a little bit of, here we go. So I have everything. Oh, we got a bunch of folks on there. Hello, everybody. And I just, many of you probably know today is my birthday. Tomorrow is Suzanne's birthday. And with that, I will tell you, if you're not on our email list, you wouldn't have probably known about this, or maybe didn't see it on social media. We gave a special coupon this week. If you want to shop on our online store, I'll tell you what the discount is and what the code is. It's a $10 coupon towards any order of $50 or more. And the promotion code is SISTERS, and it's because our birthday's this weekend. And it expires on Monday. We actually issued it last week, so y'all are kind of catching the tail end of it. But I would say to you, you need to sign up for our farm newsletter, because those are the kind of things that you'll get. We don't send a lot of salesy kind of stuff, but we do send out special. Hello, thank you so much, Betsy and Sharon, and thank you. We have airplanes flying over. I am in the flight pattern for our local airport. So I'm going to see if I can't sit my iPad up here. So today, so let me see. I also want to give another special announcement that's pertinent to this week. I am not doing a Facebook Live this coming week, Easter weekend. Not only is it Easter weekend, which is a really special time for us, but I'm having, believe this, I have a bridal shower here at my home Saturday morning for my sister's daughter, Elora, who's getting married in May, and we're just tickled pink over that. So I'm doing that on Saturday. And then Sunday, we have a family meal here in the evening. We go to my husband's family right after church on Sunday, and then later that day, I'll have about, 20 or 25 people here for dinner. So, sorry, no Facebook Live next week. But the week after that, which is April 25th, and I'm having to do it on a Thursday because I will be going out of town that weekend to go to Mother Earth News. But that Facebook Live is really going to be fun. It's going to be all about container planting, because I have really big containers here on the farm, and I'm not going to actually be doing it, but I'm going to tell you about the tips that I learned from a great book, and share some of those with you. I went and got the plants yesterday, and if it stops pouring, I'll walk over there and show them to you. So those are some announcements that are actually pertinent to just this broadcast, because we do record this and it's posted on my blog, and so a lot of people watch the replay, so I kind of have to say these things because somebody watching it in a month doesn't realize that. So today we're talking about planting warm weather, and I want to talk about three things. The proper planting time for warm season tender annuals. Then, if you are going to push the envelope and plant early, how you can do that. And then why we push the envelope as flower farmers or as commercial farmers. Why we have to push the envelope to get all of our work done, right? So, and you know, people struggle with this, y'all. It's tricky. Warm season annuals are plants like zinnias, sunflowers, coxcomb, basil, tomatoes, squash, corn, all the stuff that loves it warm and hot, the stuff that grows great during summer, right? And this time of the year, when we have these freak high temperature days, I mean, I think we were like 83 degrees this past Monday. How tricky, we're sweating, we're out there working, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, summer is really here. Well, then it goes down to the low 50s or even 48 degrees 2 nights later. The first thing I want you to take away from this talk is it's all about nighttime temperatures. You cannot gauge planting on daytime temperatures alone. It is all about the nighttime temperatures. And if you're a farmer, or if you're a serious gardener, or if you're a gardener that's just investing a lot of money in plants, you need to be a 2-week forecaster just like I am. All of the apps for weather typically give you a 2-week forecast. And that's what I'm always looking at. I don't even hardly look at the daytime temperatures. I am always looking at nighttime temperatures to know when to plant. So it's all about nighttime temperatures. And when you're planting transplants outside, the optimal conditions to plant a warm season tender annual outside is when nighttime temperatures are at 60 degrees and staying above 60 degrees. That means I posted this on Facebook the other day because it's just so hard to realize this. So we were at 71 degrees last night when I came home at 9 o'clock. And tonight's going to be about the same, and I think tomorrow night. But then we're going to have a night in a couple, 3 days that drops down to the high 40s. And no, it will not kill tender annuals, but it causes them stress. So when do you plant? The best time to plant warm season tender annuals is when it's 60 degrees at night and it's staying above 60 degrees. That typically occurs about 3 to 4 weeks after most people's last expected frost date. So for me, my last expected frost date is mid-April. So that would mean the optimal, I'm not saying that I plant at the optimal time. I'm saying that the best case scenario for your plants, for the healthiest, best scene for your plants, is to plant, for me, would be like mid-May. Nobody wants to wait till mid-May, y'all. Not unless, of course, you're knee-deep in cool flowers like we usually are. But most of us want to plant earlier. But I stop. I want to say something else, too. That's transplants. If you want to plant warm season seeds outside, you have to wait even longer. Because what do warm season seeds need? They need really warm and hot soil, not air temperature, soil. And it takes soil weeks to warm up. So once your 60 degrees is there at night and hanging, then the soil starts to warm up. Do you know how many seeds we replace for people that push they don't even realize they're pushing the envelope, that they plant basically their warm season seeds too early and they don't germinate. They'll say the seeds just didn't sprout. Well, I can almost promise you the soil was too cold. So seeds, you wait even longer, like 2 or 3 weeks. Another reason why we start everything from transplants, y'all. So that is the best case scenario for planting warm season tender annuals. And that's not on my area. That's anywhere. 60 degrees at night and holding. If you're planting seeds outside, you need that to have held already for 3 weeks or so to plant. And your plants will be really, really happy. This darn iPad keeps going off. I need to set it so it doesn't, wait a minute. It doesn't want to recognize my fingerprint, and I have to put in the password. So as always, I just want to remind everybody, and y'all are so good about this, is to like and share this broadcast, particularly if you are a member of closed groups that would benefit from this information. I don't share my Facebook Lives anywhere except on my pages. That's kind of like a, ethical thing, etiquette kind of thing. So if you have a group that you feel like would benefit from this, please share in there because that helps me more than anything else. So that is the optimal time to plant warm season stuff. So let's say you want to push the envelope, right? Like me. I mean, we already have warm season stuff in the ground. Just a couple. A couple that are known to be a little cold tolerant. So how do we push the envelope? We push the envelope in a couple of different ways. You have to do special steps. You don't just plant early and hope for the best. So what happens when you plant early and don't provide protection of some kind or take some kind of steps? These are plants, you won't know what's happening. You won't realize this. But those plants that you plant that just never maybe reach their potential, or maybe they just don't thrive, maybe they're stunted, maybe they fall victim to disease and pests earlier than other stuff, that's what planting a plant into its non-best case scenario, right? When you plant a warm plant into warm soil and air temperature, they hit the ground running, they start growing, they're strong, and they can ward off stuff because they're just healthy. But when they sit there and shiver, literally shiver, in cold soil and cold air temperatures, stuff happens to them. I mean, if you think about it, it's just science, y'all. So things that we do. First, I will tell you, I'm looking out at my garden. Nothing I love better than looking at plants being rained on, y'all. We do already have in the ground corn transplants and sunflower transplants. I have found that the two of them kind of take it like a professional. They kind of hold up to cooler temperatures. I just planted the sunflowers. What is today, Saturday? I planted the sunflowers Thursday, our first planting. Now, I should have been planting them 3 weeks ago and hooping and covering them, but it just didn't happen. And our corn. But both of those were transplants. They don't have to sprout out in the garden. And we've had rain twice since I planted them, so that really helps to protect them, and it's really, really helping them. So, all of those warm season tender annuals that I have piling up out there on my carport, Celoseas, ageratums, basils, zinnias, millets, just all kinds of stuff, tomatoes, squash, all of that stuff is starting to come on to its own. It's like getting big enough that it needs to be planted. Because we don't have a staff of 50 here, we have to really pace ourselves with planting. And that's what makes us really push the envelope and have to start planting earlier than usual. Because we can't possibly get it all planted in a timely manner for the plant to not get overgrown. So we have to start early. And what we do, we make our bed. Our beds have been made now for 2 weeks. The beds that these transplants are going into, they're covered in the black Bio 360 film. The black film is already doing its job. You know, it's been sitting out in the sun, even though the daytime temperatures have not been all hot. That soil under that film is warmer than the soil next to it in the pathway, right? And so we will, Bobo, I don't know if I've mentioned it here last week, Bobo has been taking care of her grandbabies, the joy of her life, for the last week while her daughter went on a vacation. And so my planter, Bobo is the primary planter here on the farm. I do a little bit of planting, but she is the workhorse for that. And so she's been gone, and it kind of worked out perfectly because really it's still too early. I didn't want to really push the limits, and the transplants are on the verge. So many of you, I'm trying to read comments, but I can't. I'll go back and read all the comments and give all the answers and answer all those at the end. So next week, Bobo will be back Monday, and we will start planting. All the plantings that are going in for the next 2 weeks will be hooped and covered. These are celoseas and zinnias and ageratum and basils. I don't ever cover sunflowers typically unless it's really early in the season because they really can take more cool temps than I ever dreamed that they could successfully. So hooping and covering them will not only protect them from the wind and give them 4 degrees of protection at night, but during the day, the heat gets trapped under there and it heats the soil fast even more and just creates a little Club Med underneath there, right? So, Dad, burn it. This thing turned off again. So that's why we push the envelope and start a little earlier. And I want to stop here and say this. Let me find my place here so I don't. I wanted to also say, I want to say a couple of things. There's a link on this Facebook Live to the Flower Farming School online sign up. And what I wanted to say about that is, in addition, Flower Farming School only opens in the fall. It's a 6-week course. You can read all about it on our website. And what happens is we ask people to sign up just to be emailed, so we'll notify you when it opens, tell you all about it, how it works, and all such things. Well, when we give you a $50 off coupon, now we'll send you the free webinar I did on what it takes to be a flower farmer also. But in addition to that, we just started something brand new, and it's going to be emailed. I think it goes out tomorrow morning to all the people that have already signed up to be notified. I'm doing flower farming facts. These are like short 4 or 5 minute videos that just talk about some key piece of flower farming that just kind of shares what's behind it and trying to help people decide if they want to be a flower farmer. So folks that sign up to be notified will be getting periodic emails from me with videos here from the farm that will not be seen anywhere else. You will not see them on you will not see them on social media. And to help people kind of figure all of this out. And I want to say 2 other things, and then we're going to get back on point here. We are also putting those flower farming facts, attention Flower Farming School alumni, the people that were students the last year. Kelly has already put that little video about pinching seedlings in the Flower Farming School library. All you have to do is log into your course library, go to bonus trainings, it's a new category, and you'll find it there. So anything you guys hear me sending out to people trying to help them gain an understanding, we're putting into Flower Farming School's library, so you have access to that. So what I'm saying too is you don't need to sign up to be notified because you're already getting the information in your course. And then the other thing I wanted to share, this has been such an epiphany for me this last week. You know, the season's really starting to get going. I pinched all of our seedlings. Things are happening. We're dragging out our buckets to start harvesting. I'm already cutting. And so much information is storming my brain. A lot of the content that's in Flower Farming School online, I created late to mid-season last year. And I am having so much information flood my brain that what's going to happen now, for instance, on Monday, Suzanne and I are doing a Flower Farming School online course video. And the video is all about, it's pertaining to seed starting, but it's not the mechanics of seed starting because you already have that in your course, right? This is about the big picture, how I manage the whole seed starting, why I start in plugs, why I start in soil blocks, how I do that, how our sunflower thing goes. All these questions we're being flooded with right now. It's going to be basically probably an hour video of me just doing a commentary walk around of why I do this way, what it's based on. And I just know that that's key information, that why make you go through 5 years of trial and error when I can just share it with you. So Flower Farming School alumni, that probably will not be in your library for a week or 2. But as soon as we'll record it Monday, Suzanne will edit it, then Kelly has to get it loaded, and we'll notify you when it's in there. So it's just so very exciting. As I pulled out buckets yesterday and I was washing one this morning, I cannot wait to do a harvesting video that's just not about harvesting specifics, but about the ways we do it. It's just very exciting. And y'all, if I have a coughing fit, the pollen, this table I'm sitting at is covered in pollen. I decided it would be better to not wipe it off and stir it up. If I have a coughing fit, I'm just going to step away and I'll be back. So I have so many questions to answer, and I want to address those first before we start going through the scroll here. So if you have any questions that you didn't post on Facebook about warm season planting, What happens with our Facebook Lives is I really try to stay on point because we title it and then people go back looking for information. So try to keep your questions about planting and warm season, tender annual stuff. So let's see here. So the first thing I'd like to, this question was not posted on the Facebook Live feed, but it was posted all over. That video of me planting sunflowers on Thursday really hit a nerve. I mean, we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of views on Instagram and Facebook. And I want to say that I went in, if you find that video on our Facebook feed and look down in the comments, I posted a link to 2 blogs. One is an article that I wrote, How to Grow, let's see, I forget what it's called, but the link will take you there. 2 blog posts. One is the Facebook Live I did all about sunflower growing, and the other one is a blog. So I'm not going to answer any sunflower questions here because you can find that there. And there's a lot of great information. So let's start off with Betsy. Betsy asks, is it a soil temperature issue that we wait rather than an air temperature? This far up north, she's in upstate New York, many farmers gain a couple of weeks with tomatoes with black film and row cover. Bingo! Does this work with zinnias and other flowers? Yes. What a great question, Betsy. So it is really about the soil temperature, but the way that I gauge the soil temperature is by air temperature. I'm not embarrassed to say this, you'll be surprised maybe, I don't even own a soil thermometer. It's all about, that's all about me being simple, y'all. We know from scientific information when soil temperatures reach their right time is based on the nighttime temperatures. So that's that whole equation for that. So it is about soil temperature, but we figure out the soil temperature by air temperature. And yes, that's what I was just discussing, that we make black film covered beds with the Bio 360 and hoop and cover it. Last year I did the experiment because we had enough time and help. We hooped and covered the beds before they were even planted. And that helped to warm it up, and it did help. There's all kinds of things like that you can do. So that works for any warm season vegetable, herb, or flower. Kristen asks, and how the heck do I get those sunflowers out of the plug tray? So she was talking about the video where I'm pulling them out. I don't soil block sunflowers, which I talk about in those 2 references I just gave you. The key, and I tell you what, Suzanne and I had an in-depth talk about after I finished planting those sunflowers, because normally I'm not the planter, Bobo is. Soil blocking is such quicker planting than plug trays. The key with getting sunflowers or anything else out of the plug tray, which is what the problem that I have with them, is you have to wait until they get big enough to have enough roots to engulf the soil and have a strong stem, so you just reach and pull it out, right? Well, by that time, to me, they look like root-bound nightmares. That just doesn't happen in soil blocking. So you can handle them and plant them so much earlier. So the key, Kristen, is you have to let them. Those that you saw me planting in that video, I just looked this up because I just wrote it on my calendar. Bobo started them March 22nd, and I planted them whatever Thursday was. Today is my birthday, right? 13th. 12th, I planted them the 11th. So however many days old that is, they really could have used about 3 or 4 more days. There was a couple that when I pulled them, they broke off, and I just pitch them. We start extras for that reason. So that's the key to that. So Brady asks, do you not use the Bio 360 on your sunflower beds? No. When we plant sunflowers, because I start transplants, plant them at 3 weeks old, and I plant Pro-Cut Orange, which is a 50 to 60 day from seed to bloom. We already have 20 days under our belt. They are in the garden for such a short period of time. I put down organic fertilizer, dry fertilizer, till, plant, we hand water them, and then they're on their own. Here in Virginia, in my region, the Tidewater region, we typically get about 40 inches of rain a year. So we get periodic rain, and it's been more frequent the last few years. So we just don't have a problem. And sunflowers if you water them into well-prepared soil with food, they just take off. Okay, Kristen again. Do I need to put sunflowers in a certain area of my garden because they'll shade out the other flowers? So that's a good point. We don't really think of that here because, well, we're out in the middle of the field with no shade, and so if you put your sunflowers on the east side of your beds, then that's going to block the morning sun, which I would say is the best sun. If you want to block anything from sun, it's usually here for us in the south, the afternoon sun, so you would want to plant tall stuff on the west side. But frankly, I don't worry about it. It just really depends on the way that your garden is set up. And so you just have to sit out there, put something up, something tall, so you can see where the shadows cast, and sit there and watch the sun for a while and figure that out. Let's see. Patty asks, do you use floating row cover for your warm season plants, and for how long? So we only use it for this first early planting typically, just to protect from those nighttime cools and to help intensify the heat during the day. Once the summer starts, we really harden off our stuff for about at least 3 to 4 days under the carport. We are so busy. Once the harvest season really starts here, we don't have time to do anything. We are lucky. Bobo plants and I cut. That's how it works now that we're so downsized. And so we only use typically row cover early in the season and late in the season, except for those vegetables that we use it on to prevent pest damage, right? Like we're planting so many string beans this year. We're doing a program for a food bank, and we will cover those, and they don't mind being under the heat. And then she asked, what kind of fabric do you use? We use floating row cover. That's an agricultural fabric. We use the lightest weight, which is Ag 19. Some people use Ag 30. I just personally prefer the 19. It's lighter. You have to be careful with it, but it allows more air, water, and light through it, so it doesn't trap heat, and you don't have to worry about rain not penetrating it as well. We do sell it on our website in 50-foot pieces. If you need more than that, then there's other sources available out there. We have already gotten into the 90s in Zone, Texas. Trying to keep rabbits from eating seedlings. Okay, so you can use row cover for that, because basically you would cover your seedlings just until they get enough size on them. And I know y'all grow stuff down in Texas. The rabbits, the crickets, the grasshoppers are as big as golden retriever puppies, it looks like to me. So I know that you probably need to protect your plants for a longer period of time than maybe somebody in another region, because your growing season's so long. So I would definitely use the Ag 19, the lightest weight row cover. You have got to hoop them. You cannot lay it right on top of the plants, because that'll trap the heat. And you have to keep an eye on it. And keep them well watered, because it'll definitely get hotter underneath there. And you'll just have to really use your judgment. But definitely row cover will keep they just can't get to it, right? Animals and insects are smart, but they are not that smart. If you cover immediately, they don't even realize something good's under there. So that would be my advice to that. So Doreen, how do you deal with weeds since you aren't using the Bio 360 for sunflowers? I knew that video was going to cause all kinds of questions. So again, let's see, if my sunflowers take 60 days to bloom and they're already 20 days, they're only in the garden for 40 days, and it's freshly tilled. That's part of it. It's freshly prepared. Like, I tilled that garden an hour before I planted, which means there's no weed seed development. And then I'm planting my sunflowers this tall, and they get growing quickly, and they create a canopy. That helps to shade out weeds. Surely some weeds sprout in there, but nothing like what you're thinking. The pathways get weedy and we mow them. But then as soon as we cut at the end of 40 days, when they're 60 days old and blooming, we mow them, till them, and do it all over again, or plant something else there. So that's the benefit. You know, so much stuff is coming together in my mind. The quicker you get a flower, the less work it is up until that time. That's why I love soil blocking. Soil blocking grows seedlings quicker, and you can plant them early. You can handle them earlier. So that gets them in the garden earlier. And when you get good, healthy transplants planted into what they want, they take off, which gets a flower earlier, which prevents, you know what I mean? It's the whole picture, y'all. And that's really, I haven't even mentioned it, the book Vegetables Love Flowers. That book is all about that. It's about getting a system and how flowers help vegetables through pollinators and beneficial insects, but then it has all my ways of growing in it. And that's what really, really helps that. So we don't deal with weeds. We just let the few that are in there grow, Doreen, and mow the pathways, and then they're out of there in no time. So Michelle asks, what are some tips for keeping seedlings moist? I have mine in Jiffy packs in plastic trays, but they seem to dry out with the North Texas wind. If I cover my seedling bed with clear plastic to retain moisture, it just gets too hot. Okay, so it sounds like you have your, Michelle, sounds like you have your seedlings sitting outside. Yeah, first off, Jiffy pots suck the life out of everything. If you got something to germinate in a Jiffy pot, you really have done something. That's not classic. They're very difficult to germinate in because they're very difficult to regulate the moisture and the heat, whether it's warm soil or not. So you've already done something great by germinating something. You need to get those plants either indoors, under light, where there's no wind, where you can keep it. You want them to get wet and dry out, that whole cycle. But you aren't going to be able to do that probably outside in the heat in Texas, especially with the wind. Seedlings typically don't grow well outside, particularly in Jiffy pots. I would recommend to you need to check out Soil Block and go to our website, go to the Learning Center, check out all things soil blocking, and it is so much easier to be successful. It takes less space. I think you'll be really pleased with it. And yes, I never use plastic in my garden. I don't ever make hoops with plastic because when you add plastic, just like you're talking about, first off, in the warm weather, it traps heat. You'll toast your stuff in a day. But I also find because water and air do not go through it like they do with floating row cover, it just creates, you have to baby it so much. And let's be honest. Who is thinking about all their hoops when life is going on? I don't. I have other things to do. With the row cover, you're just safer. There are surely cases, if I grew certain things, I know that I would perhaps maybe choose to use plastic, but that's why I choose not to grow those certain things, right? Because I'm all about simple and easy. So row cover might be a better bet for you, Michelle, and again, you will find those on our website, on our store, and again, there's a $10 off of a $50 order in celebration of mine and Suzanne's birthday. It expires Monday at midnight. $10 off, $50, and the promotion code is SISTERS. And so you have 2 days to spend that so you can go in and check that out. So I want to say again before I start reading up there several things. I already told you the next Facebook Live is going to be on the 25th. That's a Thursday at 4 o'clock because I'm traveling the next day. I might do something from Mother Earth News. I'll be in Asheville. Can't wait to see folks down there. I just love going down to Asheville. So the Facebook Live is going to be on container gardening, and that's going to be a lot of fun, looking at all the beautiful containers. And I already told the Flower Farm and School alumni, I had an announcement earlier that you need to go back and watch. It's really exciting. And please visit our website, thegardenersworkshop.com. Sign up for our farm news if you have not already done that. And anybody what helps me the most is if you like and share this broadcast. You can always find my Facebook Lives on my blog. Kelly downloads them and posts them it takes about a week for all that editing and things to happen. So to have a look at that. And what else did I want to tell you? Sorry, just take me a minute to read this. So, and I also want to mention, particularly, this is not for people watching live right now. This is for people watching the replay. A lot of those folks don't do Facebook and they don't understand how this works. And so they're wondering why I'm speaking to you. So what happens at a Facebook Live is people just join us on our Facebook page and they're posting comments that I'm getting ready to read, but I can see some of them. And so that's why it appears that I'm talking to people that really aren't here. We actually had somebody email and ask us about that. So I am going to scroll back through here and see what kind of questions. We got a boatload here. Let's see. Hello, Betsy and Elizabeth and Becky and Jessica. Kristen. Oh, it's raining in Texas too. Hi, Sue from New Jersey and Angie. It's raining. Raining where Sharon is. Hey, Wanda in Alaska. Meredith. Becky from California and Susie and Angie. Thank you for the birthdays. Sunny in upstate New York. Y'all need sun up there. It's cold. Happy birthday from Elizabeth. Thank you. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. Thank you. Thank you. And Suzanne's birthday is tomorrow. Thank you for the sister greeting. Oh, hey, Allison from the UK. Thank you, Mimi. More from Alaska. Okay, and so that's why the other thing, I think people that don't do Facebook are seeing me look at the screen. They don't understand. I'm scrolling through. Oh, thanks, Michelle. So much good info here. She's from North Texas. So, you know, Sue's saying I have to wait until May 25th, exclamation. So unless you're going to take some special steps to warm up your soil and then give your plants some protection, because they've proven it over and over. An early plant this big planted into cool soil, a warm season plant, cool soil, cool weather, is going to sit there and be cold. If I plant that same plant 2 or 3 weeks later, will outperform the early planted one, y'all. You know, so it's just factual. And here's the rub. If you're so caught up with trying to get some warm season stuff in the ground early, that's because you do not have enough cool flowers planted or cool vegetables, because we are totally consumed with cool season stuff that we're barely able to get our warm season in some years on time. So you need to start thinking that's the stuff that we started the seeds in January and a little in February and planted them outside when it's still freezing and cold, and those plants love that weather, right? So let's see, Angie. So if our soil never freezes, is it okay to plant out our seedlings when 95% of the nighttime temperatures are in upper 50s and 60s with an occasional dip? So it doesn't matter whether you freeze or not. That's why this is the universal for everybody equation. When your nighttime temperatures have hit 60 degrees and stay at least at 60 for the next 2 weeks, that's the optimal time to plant warm season stuff. If you're planting before that, you need to have black filmed beds or mulch at least with hoops and row covers. So it doesn't really matter about anything else other than that nighttime temperature, because your days, I mean, we had an 85-degree day here on Monday, but that soil is still cold as ever. So that's just a personal choice, and you figure it out, you know? I mean, again, it's like, I feel like cool flowers, those cool season hardy annuals, whether you're planting flowers or vegetables, rescue us from, I mean, I know everybody wants a zinnia. I mean, that is the push that most people have, that, you know, I mean, like, they're just waiting, because we know our customers are chomping at the bit for zinnias in February. But you just have to hold tight. Thank you again, Meredith. Same here. It's just me and an assistant. So that is part of, so what I wanted to say earlier when I'm thinking about this whole, when you're trying to grow commercially and there's just so much to be done all the time, whether it's harvesting or planting. And I can't think what else this might pertain to. I am always looking to start cutting a crop the second it's 1 or 2 are ready enough, because the earlier I get to start selling them gets my customer used or acquainted with that crop, and it allows me to stretch it out. You know what I mean? If I waited until, oh shoot, there's only 5 bunches that could be cut this week, I'll just wait and cut them all next week or whatever. Why not get going earlier? Get your plants reproducing. So I'm always trying to start earlier and go later on everything to stretch out the work. Let's see. Are snowballs cool season or warm? Confused on this. I'm confused on what snowballs are. What do you mean, Doreen? Post it again and I'll get it to when I get to the bottom. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Angie, does it help seedlings to water them well before a rare dip in nighttime temperatures? Zone B, 8B in Texas. So the general rule is that well-hydrated plants take frost and cold. I say frost because I'm thinking about trees and shrubs and stuff going into cold, wet season. Definitely hydrated plants face weather better than thirsty plants. So you don't want them to be overly wet or soggy or anything, but you want them to be well watered, right? So go to work, Sue. That's what it's all about, right? Got the lot. Hey, Aaron. Lisa, thank you. So exciting. Flower Farming School was the best, and now new info. You're the best. I appreciate all of your helpful info. It's made such an amazing difference for our little farm. You know, what I envision for Flower Farming School online is that each year it's getting more and more in depth. I'm going to be going down these rabbit holes that catch us. So the original program, which is about 20 hours of videos plus a bunch of other stuff, is like the mechanics and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can go to the website to find out what that is. But now that we kind of have this down and figured out, we can make these videos, like the video that we're doing Monday on seed starting, and the whole management of that through the seasons will be under the seed starting session. But it'll be a separate one. It'll be something, so yeah, I see it getting bigger and better with each passing season. We're not gonna remove anything, we just keep adding more stuff. And I wanted to say something too. I get a great magazine for any of you guys that are eager beaver business people like I am. The magazine Entrepreneur, the Entrepreneur magazine, is an excellent investment. I mean, it's not very much. And every time I read that, and I read that magazine from front to back, I glean so much information. And there is an editorial in the one I just got Saturday, and it talks about that no matter where you are in business, if you're a newbie, if you're a 2-year-old, or you're a 5-year-old flower farmer, or you're a 21-year flower farmer like I am, we all face the same challenges, because as a bird just flew literally right over my head. I'm trying new stuff all the time, so I'm right back at square one, right? So we're all facing these new things each plateau you get to. You know, you have to eat an elephant one bite at a time. And I have a whole elephant to eat in front of me, just like you feel like you do. And that's how I'm growing Flower Farming School online. As people get more acclimated, get a little more wisdom and experience, then all of a sudden you have new problems because you're trying new stuff. And I understand that. So Flower Farming School is pretty dadgum amazing. And anyway, so that's the whole point of that. And I would recommend the Entrepreneur magazine to anybody. When you put covers on now, do you take them off based on daytime temperatures? So, good question, Alicia. So because these are warm season tender annuals we're talking about, and they want it warm to hot, I would only take off the covers during the day, because that is a lot of work for us, because it'll be 12 beds that we're planting. The only reason I would take the covers off during the day is if it was going over, 85 or 90 degrees. And the nights are still cool enough that I need to leave the covers on. I mean, those covers are coming off the minute we hit the nighttime 60s. And they'll stay down and then be gone. But while we're having cool nights, if we have that freak, really hot day, I would take them down. But also, I love not worrying about rabbits. Although, I will tell you, I have found 2 rabbit carcasses out in our field. The hawk and the owl are doing their job. Kudos to those guys. Mimi, she was a part of helping me become a gardener a million years ago. My soul blocking tool should be here from you on Monday. Oh, Mimi, I can't wait either for you to get it. And there are so many videos and stuff online, girl. Just Mimi was a big part of, she and I were a part of, it's called GREAT, Golden Retriever Rescue Education and Training of Southeastern Virginia. Without her, she and I were both 2 women that didn't have much else to do in life, or we did have something else to do. We chose to rescue golden retrievers, and it was like a full-time job for us for several years, and I am so glad you're joining the soul blocking world, Mimi. So all the birthday wishes, thank you so much, y'all. If you're planting before nighttime, let's see here, this is from Matt. If you're planting before nighttime temps are above 60, if you're planting before, and using row cover, is it okay to leave them out at night to harden off with temps in the 50s? So, if you're planting before nighttime temps are above and using row cover, is it okay to leave them out at night to harden off? So, I read that to say you want to leave trays of plants outside when it's cool. I mean, if I'm doing it right now. I'm just sitting here thinking about it. So it's been dipping down. If it goes below like 58 or 57 at night, I carry all those trays of warm season annuals back in the building. But otherwise, I would leave it outside if it's above 58. But if it's going down below 58, I mean, you're risking damage. And I'm trying to get my annuals to grow their sprouts, right? Because I've pinched them all. So if you can bring them in, that is the best case scenario. And why set them up to be cold? Oh, you're welcome, Melody. Thank you. Sunny in Ohio. Great. In Kentucky. So let's see here. Meredith, I'm in Suffolk. I remember you, Meredith. I'm planning on coming and visiting you somehow. Would you plant zinnias and celosia this week if I hoop and cover? Yes. So, we have some, so I pinched everything at kind of different times. The plants that have already started, that wasn't good, hang on. The plants that have already started to sprout where we pinched them, which is what I feel like is a healthy plant that can go to the garden, those will be planted this coming week. And yes, we will hoop and cover them. So if you have hoops and cover, go for it, Meredith. Oh, Patricia, you were late. That's okay. You can watch it. Oh, Jessica, you're excused. Jessica has been posting some amazing photos. And Jessica, you need to post those photos, or you may have, out so the public can see them. She's been posting them on our secret flower farming school page where nobody except for students can see it. She's an awesome soil blocker. She's been having some great success. My Gumphrina seems to be stunted. Huh, Paul? I don't know how old it is. Ours is, what time is it? It's starting to stop raining. I'll walk y'all over and show you my seedlings, but we can't stay there very long. Mine are, we'll have to look at the date. Paul, I'll look at that first and we'll look at it. Heat, food, and water. Heat, light, food, and water are the keys. So they're lacking something. You just got to figure out what it is and get them in the ground as soon as you can. How many acres do you plant? Well, my whole place is only 3 acres. My working garden is 1.5 acres, but we plant and work about 3/4 of an acre at a time. Thank you, Shirley. Another advantage to plant starts is if you have rocky soil. Exactly. It is almost impossible to get smooth enough soil, seed bed, for good germination. So right. she's saying that the soil here would have, she couldn't do what we're doing here. It definitely, if you have challenging soil conditions of any kind, you are so much better off to plant transplants whenever you can. How many of each zinnia color do I plant? Well, again, we succession plant. So this is just our first round, 480 each of about 8 or 9 colors. I don't grow all the colors anymore, or I don't grow them all in the first round. We do different ones. Oh, so you're talking about billy balls, Doreen. They're cool season. We wintered them over here in Zone 7. I don't know where you are. So they could definitely be put into cool soil, but the problem with planting them late, if you're already heading into spring like I am, they just never get enough height. So definitely plant them earlier next spring or in the fall if you're in Zone 7. Kristen, let's see, having trouble with billy balls. Yeah, so I will tell you that we tried to germinate some old seed of billy balls, and no germination. I ordered new seed. Bobo started right away in the middle of winter. 100% germination, and they wintered over beautifully. I know Emily, one of the students in North Carolina, she is cutting billy balls out. She grows in the field like I do. She uses a lot of low tunnels. She's already cutting billy balls. Do you teach about marketing and arranging flowers, Betsy? We do teach about, I teach about marketing. I teach about making time in your life to start a business. We talk about all of that. We do not offer flower arranging. We teach you how to make speed bouquets for supermarkets or farmers markets and that kind of thing, but we do not do any flower arranging. Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for all the info. Helps to keep me in confidence that I can see it. Oh, yeah, you're doing it. Thank you for all sharing your knowledge. You're welcome. I love how fluid gardening is. Always makes it easier, better, and I see many of the ideas you and I were talking about 20 years ago being used now in new ways. It is so true. Everything changes, y'all. I put row covers over cool season because I was concerned about protecting them and helping them acclimate. Yes, take the row covers off. When you're not going below 30 degrees at night, take them off. Hello from Mississippi. Thank you for all your education on soil block and have beautiful sweet basil. Oh, good. And lemon basil ready to harden off. You're welcome. I feel behind with getting plants started. If I don't have anything in trays and blocks yet, is it better to direct seed or should I take the 4 to 6 weeks to start coxcomb? So, great question, Brad. Brady, I'm sorry, not Brad. First off, we need to remove the word behind from our life because as a gardener, there is something to be started every month of the year just about for most of us in zone 6, 7, 8, and 9. It just means you just haven't gotten to it yet. And yes, I definitely recommend that you start indoors and get them outside. We plant the same stuff, y'all. This is what Vegetables Love Flowers hits home. Succession planting. That means we will start our next round of warm season plants as soon as Bobo starts planting our next round of tomatoes, our next round of celosias. So yes, start your stuff today. You will have more plants in 4 to 6 weeks to plant in your garden than you would if you direct seeded, and with much less work, I might add. Oh, you're welcome, Stacy. How long can flowers, seedlings, and soil blocks stay in blocks? Jean, the basic rule is that you shave 1/3 of the growing time off of soil blocks. If a seed packet says start 6 to 8 weeks before you plant it, you'd shave 2 to 3 weeks off that time. That is the secret to success in using a small block like I do. Zinnias go to the garden at 2 to 3 weeks old. Tomatoes, 4 to 5 weeks old. Celosia is 4 weeks or so old. So not starting too early is the key to that. Jessica, where would you like me to post them? Well, if you just post them on your personal page so that we can share them for other people outside, and then I'll tag me, and then I'll share it over on the Gardener's Workshop page. You see what I mean? We can't share from that private group with others. And you and Kara have been posting. It's like, you know what my niece said? Are you ready, Jessica? She said, Aunt Lisa, isn't that your plant room? I said, exactly. That girl is burning it up. She is. Once you get it, you will be unstoppable with soil blocks. Yeah, Paul, you may have started too early, and they are in the garden, so just start some more. That's the key to succession planting, y'all. That's one of the things, that flower farming video I'm making on Monday for the online course, that is part of it too. Succession planting rescues you when you have seed starting failures too, right? You just start them on the next round. So it's great. Nothing like seeing things firsthand for inspiration. Do you accept visitors? No, our farm is not open, and my home and farm is not open to the public. We used to do once a year tours. We typically do in June, but we're not doing it this year because we have projects going on, but probably look for us to do something in 2020. What are Billy balls? Billy balls are, there it is, C-R-A-S, Craspedia. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. And it looks like a Gomphrena, a little yellow ball. They're just so useful. What makes Godicia take so long to actually bloom? It has buds for weeks now. Well, they're going to bloom, and they're all going to bloom in a day. Godicia is a flash crop. It goes really fast. Is Bupleurum heat tolerance once established? So we have Bupleurum that's about 5 or 6 inches tall that was planted in February, and it won't get as tall, but it'll go into summer pretty good. The best is fall planted. All right, so I'm going to have to, I want to walk over and show you all the seedlings, then we got to get off here. Again, please remember to like and share this broadcast, especially if you're a member of closed groups that would benefit from this, for people to see kind of what we're all about. And I do realize that I give away a lot of information and people are kind of surprised by that. But it's all about what goes around comes around, right? And we appreciate everybody's support. So please share and like, visit thegardenersworkshop.com. All right, I am going to pick this up. I have to actually walk in the back door of my house and get a pair of shoes on. I'm sitting here in my bare feet, so we can walk across and let Barry out. Let me just slide on a pair of shoes. Now we're in my dark house. Sorry about that, gang. And I'm going to want us to walk over. Come on, Barry, you want to come? We'll walk over and have a look at some seedlings. So what are your thoughts about planting, growing by the Moon Almanac? Never done that, gone there. I mean, and when you're farming, you're just a little too consumed to check out. There's so many different theories about different ways, and what works for you is what works. Patty, my soil block seedlings sometimes have roots intertwined with each other. I take scissors to cut the full row apart when the individual seedlings. Do you have any tips on doing this? Thank you, Rhonda. All right, let's walk over here. I'm going to turn this around so y'all stop looking at me. So my car's backed up here because Suzanne and I had a birthday yesterday, a birthday day. We went to lunch, and then we went to the wholesale nursery to buy, where landscapers buy stuff. First off, look, these are all of our trays, and this is what we bought yesterday. This is all stuff for our big containers. There's cool flowers out there. So to answer your question, Patty, we have some pretty serious, trying to find one that looks pretty root bound. See how these are pinched. You can see they were just pinched. The roots on here make them get all into each other. You know, look at that mat underneath there. Can y'all see that? I'm going to hold that down there. The way that I don't take scissors, I take, Paul, that's our Gomphrena. That's 2 different varieties. And that was started, what does she have written here? The 14th. So however old that makes this. This is the purple, and that's the pink, I think. And I'll show you up here, Patty. Well, those actually aren't as good. My Clorox bottle. I love Clorox and stuff, y'all. I just take, trying to look through, the phone doesn't work. I use these plant sticks and just cut seedlings apart, and that typically works pretty good. Looky there. Pretty dadgum amazing. So when I have to, however, you could pick up a whole cluster of 20 of those and just break them apart when you plant them. And you can see I mowed all these down. Let's see, Thursday. and some, I'm just looking for some sprouts. These plants feel cold. It's kind of, I'm just looking for some sprouties. Here's some. These got cut the first of the week. Tip, this is one of the things I'm going to talk about at the Flower Farming School video that I'll give y'all a preview. This is Ageratum, and this was pinched last, actually Bobo did this. This will be a week old yesterday. And you can see it's already resprouting. Wait, I'm trying to turn it to the side. See the new shoots that are coming? Guess what we did with those shoots? Instead of, the pinchings, Ageratum roots. So we just stuck them. We treated them like a rooting, which I'll tell you all about. Actually, we've already talked about that in Flower Farming School. So that's just one of the many tips. You can see our zinnias are not pinched. I'm going to talk about that on Monday. It's not that they shouldn't be pinched. It's just that our timing, we don't need to pinch them because they still are about a week away from being big enough to go to the garden. So this is what Bobo is coming home to. A lot of darn work, right? And so I root my tomato pinchings too. Yeah, tomatoes pinch really well. That's a good point, Mimi. If you don't pinch before planting, can you still pinch after they're in the ground? You can. That's what the way the rest of the world really does it, Helen. But you want to let them get established before you pinch. It just creates more work. You know what I mean? Out in the garden, it is far harder to pinch. Look at this dog. She is laying in the Sweet William. Barry, you have to get up. Come on. Barry, come. Oh, she knows she's on camera, y'all. She's walking through the Italian poppies. Oh, you rotten dog. Madam Butterfly Snap seedlings. Well, ours are 14 inches tall. They're best pinched when they're still, young, but you can certainly do it now. So I'm going to have to, happy birthday, miss you at the Yorktown Farmers Market. I know, Jan. I do not miss coming to market, but I miss the people like you so very, very much. So yeah, Paul, you'd just be better off to start some. No, I am sorry. I do not have fire ants, so I cannot offer you any help there. So folks, and these are our peonies. And the other thing, I just disbudded our peonies, the side shoots. We're going to talk about that for Flower Farming School on Monday too, why I do that and how that really helps. So for me, and I'll walk over here and let you move, Barry. I don't want to trip. See there's all the beds that we'll be planting in, or Bobo will be planting in next week. There's our clover. Right next to it, you can barely see it. I don't know if you can even see it. I don't think it's raining too much. The first sunflower, that's where I was planting the sunflowers that you saw in the video. There's our corn planted over there. It is still raining. And our clover, I believe, is going to be blooming beautifully for the wedding bridal shower. Here it is, because you can see, look at that. The blooms are just starting. Can you root other pinchings? I don't know, Natasha. There's a couple others that we do here. That's something we talk about in Flower Farming School. You can see I'm clearing out stuff, getting ready for Bobo. That's my compost tea making apparatus and our hose deal. So gang, I need to sign off here, and I thank you so much again for joining me here, and again sharing and liking this broadcast and sharing it on closed Facebook pages with people that would benefit from learning what I'm sharing here. And hey, until we meet again, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And that's going to be on a Thursday at 4 o'clock. Of course, it's recorded so you can watch it later, but it's going to be all about container gardening and the ways that I have learned to have so much less watering issues. And we'll go from there. So happy birthday to my sister tomorrow, in case she's on here. And I thank you all so much. Ciao.